Hi, everybody, and I'm going to talk today about overcoming the fear of getting started as a writer. If you've ever wanted to write a book, but you're afraid that you're going to be judged, you're going to be rejected, maybe you tried writing in the past and showed it to somebody and they thought it wasn't good, or you're making the mistake that everyone does, comparing yourself to other authors, or you have this notion in your head that you have to write the perfect story. If any of that rings true for you, you need to stick around because that's what I'm going to be covering. And let's start with that idea of the perfect story. That notion that somehow you have to create the perfect story in order to get it published. There's no such thing as the perfect story. There's only a story that you are happy with. Take Ernest Hemingway, for example, considered one of the greatest authors of all time by many. I've read that he rewrote the ending for A Farewell to Arms over 40 times. He didn't just somehow conjure the perfect book into existence. He wrote something and then edited it over time, and when it came time for the ending, he was being so picky about everything that it was like over 40 different versions of the ending he wrote before he finally hit the one that he was happy with. It wasn't the perfect ending, it's the ending he wanted because it was his story. And the same is true for you. It isn't about trying to write the perfect story. It's about writing the story you want to write and that you're going to be happy with. Okay, so let's go from there to the mistake, one of the worst ones we all make, of comparing ourselves to other authors, especially published authors. Here's the simple truth. Writing is a skill that has to be built up over time. Somebody who's been published worked to get to the point where they could write a story that could be published. You are reading a finished product, and it went through editing. It went to other people who probably had a hand in rewriting it in little ways. So you are looking often with a published work, not often if it's published by a company, it was in other people's hands before it was ever printed onto paper. Okay, you're looking at something that is very much a collaborative effort when it comes to a novel. It is still a work of art created by one person, or maybe a couple of people, or, rare cases more than that, but usually one or two, one being usual, of course. But it will have always been in the hands of other people who read through it and gave their criticism. And these are professionals who do this for a living, looking through these books and finding mistakes, finding places where the story drags, um, anything that you can think of, pacing, characters, plot holes. They go through and find all of those things, they try to, and then they send it back to the author who has to do edits. Okay? So if you are comparing yourself to another author's published work, you are doing yourself a tremendous disservice. Okay? So that's really two fears that hopefully you can start kind of letting go. Now, of course, there's the big ones. The fear of being judged and the fear of rejection. Well, here's another one I can hopefully try to let you get rid of and just let it go. Let it fly away. Like a pretty little bird. Or an ugly bird, actually. It's a fear. It's an ugly bird. We want to fly away. The ugly bird must go. So, how do we make the bird go? We remember, or learn Perhaps you're learning about this right now, and because you're not familiar with the process, every single major published author was rejected, often many times. The two examples I have in mind right off the bat right here, because I was doing a little bit of research for this video, because I wanted to make a point right here. J.K. Rowling was rejected for Harry Potter, the first book, 12 times before it was picked up by a publisher. Okay? Another very popular fantasy author, Brandon Sanderson, rejected 12 novels, not 12 times on one. 12 completely different novels were rejected by different publishers before he finally got one picked up a year and a half after he had submitted it to a publisher. So, rejection is going to happen if you want to be published by a major company or any company. Any publishing company, you're going to get rejected. And that doesn't mean that you're a bad writer. It just means that maybe they're overwhelmed with submissions at that time. It doesn't really fit what they want to publish currently. They think that you need to improve aspects of the story, in which case you might take that as they're saying that it's not good enough, but what they're really saying is, we want you to improve your skills. And then come back. Okay? That is how you should always view those types of rejections. It is a call to improve your skills, improve the story, and you will find if you walk away from a story you've written and then come back to it later, you will find things in it that you go, oh, ooh, yeah, that needs to be changed. Yeah. Because it's a skill, and your instincts and preferences and your skill set and your process will build and change over time and develop and evolve and improve. So it's all a process. So that is the first way to help start getting over that fear of rejection, is to first understand that all authors have faced it and that it is not a bad thing. It just means you need to keep working, because eventually you can get there. Now, if you're going to self-publish, you don't really have to worry about rejection, but you might be afraid of being judged. And the thing about that is that you really have to keep in mind that there will always be people that don't like what you do, and there will be people that do. Because it all comes down to this. Really, I think the number one thing that you have to keep in mind to overcome your fear of trying to write is that if you can find something that you want to write about, something that captures your imagination, it will capture the imagination of other people as well. Okay? It's just a matter of taking that seed, that idea, and developing it. Now, I have some resources that can help you with that. I've got a couple of books in the description of the video that can help you out with taking that initial seed or even developing an idea. If you don't even have an idea, I can help you get to that point even with the books that I have in the description, and taking it all the way from that first idea or even just the urge to write a story and walking you through as succinctly and with as little pain and off-topic rambling as possible, unnecessary bulking out. A lot of books that are trying to help people learn how to do something or overcome obstacles and processes such as learning to write and getting from idea to rough draft, they tend to try to bulk out the book because they think they need to. I kept it nice and tight and simple. I want you to learn and get better and overcome your fears. I don't want you to have to read through 50 extra pages of nonsense. So I've got those books in the description that you can check out, and of course there'll be more videos on this channel that you can check out, because everything I'm doing is that I want to help you overcome the obstacles that I've overcome. I have put a considerable amount of time into learning all of the skills that I have learned, and I want to share them with you so that you can overcome your obstacles the obstacles that are keeping you from writing the stories that you want to write. So don't forget to check those books out. You really should. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment letting me know what other videos you'd like to see topics about, or share your experiences. You can talk to me about your fears on writing, and I'll do my best to reply to everyone. So, see you on the next one.